What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Adventure Outpost. We're here for another adventure today. As always, it's ranking day, man. We're just picking out movies and we're ranking shit because that's what we do here at the Outpost. Today, I'm going to go through my top 10 favorite actors. And I'm going to show you my favorite movie of theirs and my least favorite movie of theirs. All of these 10 actors, I've seen the majority of the movies that they have been in, so I've got a pretty good notion of what my favorites of theirs are and what my least favorites are. There's really only like one or two movies of theirs that I haven't seen, with the exception of two actors on here who are very old school. They're from back in the golden age of cinema, so their movies have been a little bit harder to get than other ones, but I still have seen the majority of their movies, the majority of their big movies. So we're going to go through my top 10 favorite actors, and I'm going to give you the goods, I'm going to give you the best, and I'm going to give you the worst. Again, this is all according to me, though, so obviously my least favorite movie of one of these actors might be your favorite and vice versa. That's cool. That's how it rolls. These are simply my favorite and my least favorite, and we're going to kick it off with one of my favorite old school actors, and that's Carrie Grant. Because Carrie Grant is the fucking man. He just had his voice is so interesting to me, and I can watch him, just the way he delivers lines in all of his old school movies are just so interesting and entertaining, and I love most of his performances. My least favorite movie of his is That Touch of Mink. And it's not for lack of Cary Grant being the fucking man. Cary Grant's always the man. It's just this movie is kind of like really boring, and just, you could tell like I think this was much later in his career, and you can see he's just getting tired. And these are one of those movies that like you've seen him do plenty of times and better. So this one just kind of left a lot to be desired. But my favorite Cary Grant movie that proved that this man was the best of those romantic drama movies back in the day, and that's An Affair to Remember. This movie is fantastic. I loved this movie. I almost didn't watch this movie, but I was going through a phase in my collection that I still try to do, where I started at A, and I was like, every time I get to an A movie I haven't seen, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm watching it. And I got up to this one and was like, all right, here we go. This was actually the movie that got me onto the Cary Grant train. And I was like, this guy's the fucking man. His delivery, his punctuation, everything, the way he, as an actor, delivers lines is incredible. I fucking love this movie. And this was the movie that sent me on the deep dive into everything Cary Grant. And this is still, even after all the big movies of his that I've seen, this is still my favorite. My number 9 favorite actor is the king of character actors, and that's Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman just disappears into roles. He can do fucking everything, from Harry Potter to The Dark Knight to Dracula to fucking True Romance. Like, there's not a character that this man can't bring to life, and he just continuously embodies these characters and disappears into these roles. He's a fucking chameleon, and he's absolutely incredible. But there has to be one that's the worst of the bunch, right? And for me, this is of the movies that I've seen, so it can't be Tiptoes. I've yet to see Tiptoes. I do want to see Tiptoes. That might end up being my least favorite Gary Oldman movie, simply because of that movie. If you don't know Tiptoes, just look it up and you'll see what I'm talking about. But of the movies that I have seen, my least favorite Gary Oldman movie is Romeo is Bleeding. This is just a really boring, and like, it's just such a derivative thriller from the 90s that it was just like, this is another case of like with That Touch of Mink. You've seen this movie done so many times and so much better that this movie just leaves a lot to be desired. I think the best thing that this movie has going for it is that Gary Oldman still brings the heat as Gary Oldman, and it's got Roy Scheider, so of course anything with Roy Scheider we're gonna watch. But the movie, it leaves a lot to be desired. My favorite Gary Oldman performance in movie, it was a tough one. He's been in so much good shit, so it's like it was really hard to figure out a favorite. But I think one that like really just showcases his range and how incredible of an actor he is, to me, is Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is the 2-pack with Dracula and Frankenstein, but Dracula, I fucking love this movie. I think it's really great. I think he is phenomenal in it. I think the practical effects work in this movie is incredible. and just simply what Gary Oldman brings to the role, especially even like just in the opening where it's showing him beforehand, and it's fucking great. He's so freaking good in this movie, and he just dances around fucking Keanu Reeves and everybody else. Everyone else is just struggling to keep up. I think the only one who came to play as big as he did was Anthony Hopkins, and they just left Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves just struggling to keep up. It's great stuff. Number 8 is another insanely good character actor. This man is the ultimate method actor, and that is Daniel Day-Lewis. There's not a movie this guy did that he didn't bring absolutely like 1,010%. It's incredible to see on the screen. I could imagine it's probably hell working with him, simply because the idea of a method actor is absolutely bananas to me, and I think I couldn't be around method actors. I would get too pissed off. Because like something I always think about that I think was really funny is that like when he made the movie My Left Foot, which is a movie where like he was only able to move his left foot, and he stayed in character the entire time and made people like feed him in between shots. Like when he was on lunch, he just have someone feed. Like, could you imagine just being a PA or whatever lowly job you have on that set, and you're like, all right, what am I doing today? And they're like, you're gonna feed Daniel Day-Lewis. I would be like, you're out of your fucking mind if you think I'm feeding another adult human being who can physically feed himself but just won't, because he's got to stay in character. I would be livid. I would be like throwing soup in his face and be like, fuck you, you absolute dick. Like if he was doing that, who's wiping his ass when he takes a dump? Questions. These are questions and answers. I'm always thinking, like, I think method actors are the dumbest shit in the world. I mean, obviously the results they stand for themselves on the screen, but I just think if you were having to be on a set and working with these people, I would be so furious, like, working with them. But I digress. My least favorite Daniel Day-Lewis movie, I don't have the movie on me. I do have to get it because I must own every movie I see in theaters. I just haven't gotten this one yet, and that is Phantom Thread. It's not so much that it's a bad movie. Most of these movies where you see where they're my least favorite, it's not so much that they're bad movies, they're just like boring movies to me. And Phantom Thread is really fucking boring to me. It's probably like my least favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie also. It's just like, it's just so slow, and it's just, I don't know, it just bores the shit out of me. That one just didn't strike for me. So it's a swing and a miss on me for that one. But my favorite Daniel Day-Lewis movie, which has probably one of his most mind-numbingly, insanely good performances, is Gangs of New York. He is fucking incredible in this movie. Just chewing the scenery. He is just so fucking larger than life and incredible in this movie. He makes this movie. Like, he just elevates this shit all the way to the top. This is another one that cracks me. I would have hated to have been Martin Scorsese, having to like, because like imagine you're a director and you're like, I gotta get all these shots today. You're worrying about a million other different things. Like, and then the last thing you gotta find out, they're like, oh, Daniel Day-Lewis we gotta take him to the hospital. He's only wearing of the era outfits, so he's got pneumonia. And they're like, all right, like, Daniel, can you just wear a coat, like, in between shots? And he's just like, did they have it back then? And they're like, no. And he's like, then no. And it's just like if you just had to worry about your fucking actor dying because you won't wear a fucking coat to, like, get the performance, I would be so furious. But just put the fucking coat on, man. Like, it would drive me up a wall. Method actors drive me up a fucking wall. But the result, it's a tower, man. The results speak for themselves, but I would be furious having to work with them. It would drive me fucking crazy. Number 7 is probably the coolest of the cool old school actors, and that's my man Humphrey Bogart. This guy, he is an absolute fuck. He's another one, like Carrie Grant. The old school actors just all had their own unique delivery that made them stand out from each other, that were just absolutely incredible. Like other ones that aren't, like John Wayne, absolutely unique voice, incredible. Jimmy Stewart, absolutely unique voice, incredible. Cary Grant, Humphrey Bogart. Like, there's just so many of those old school actors that just like found their own way to just have such a commanding presence. It's incredible. And Humphrey Bogart, one of the best for me. I've loved him since I was a kid. He's in my favorite movie of all time, so obviously I've always been a huge Humphrey Bogart fan. My least favorite Humphrey Bogart movie is Dark Passage. It's another one where it's just like, he's done these types of film noir movies so much better in other places, that to see this one, it was just kind of like, yeah, all right, I guess one of them had to be the worst one, right? And I thought this one was going to be cool because he had to, he escapes from prison and he goes and gets surgery, so he has a completely different face. so that no one will be able to find him and he can go do like the evil shit that he needs to do. And it just, I was like, that sounds fucking awesome. And then it ended up being like really boring and not a lot happens in it. And it takes way too long to get going, which sucks because Bacall and Bogart were fucking dynamo together. And then, obviously, anyone who knows anything about me knows that my favorite Humphrey Bogart movie is Casablanca. Casablanca is the greatest movie of all time. It is my #1 favorite movie of all time. It has been since I saw it when I was 13 years old. I know what you're saying, like, what fucking 13-year-old was watching Casablanca? I always wanted to see it from early because we used to go to Disney all the time. And one of my favorite rides at Disney was the MGM, was the Great Movie Ride. And this was one of the things in the Great Movie Ride. And so when I was a very young kid, my goal was to watch all of the movies that you see in the Great Movie Ride. And so obviously Casablanca had to be on there and I watched it. And just from the get-go, I fucking loved it. This was a movie that was very influential in me wanting to be a writer and tell my own stories. Because the dialogue in this movie is just fucking incredible. Like, it's just, everything about this movie is just so good to me, and I fucking love it. I can't say enough good things about Casablanca. Moving on to a more modern, cool fucking guy. This guy is another one of the fucking, like, just best actors of all time. He just has a fucking presence about him, and everything you watch, you just can't take your eyes off the screen because he's so fucking good. And that's my man, Denzel Washington. He is just a fucking incredible actor. Everything he touches is gold. I mean, something has to be the worst here. And don't worry, it is. One of the movies he was in was absolute dog shit. Even if he continues to be just cool as a cucumber, because that's just what Denzel Washington does. But my least favorite Denzel Washington movie is The Equalizer 2. This movie is fucking brutal. It is boring as shit. It is way too fucking long. It is just, especially compared to like the first one was like a really good like thriller revenge movie. Like this is just, it's just meanders. It's stupid. It has a really dumb like my old time buddy is evil now story. Like it's just been done to death. It's so derivative. Picking a favorite Denzel Washington movie is so fucking hard. He's done so many good movies. Like you got Glory, you got Malcolm X, He Got Game, you got The Hurricane. He's everything he touches is just absolute gold. You got Training Day, all those fucking ones. So it was really hard to pick one, but I think my favorite one of his that is a very subtle but very emotional performance that I really enjoy is Philadelphia. I think he's really great in this movie. I think the relationship that grows between him and Tom Hanks in this movie is really incredible. He's just firing also on all cylinders in this movie, and it is one of my favorites, one of my favorite of his performances. I fucking love it. But I would understand any person who would pick like Glory or Malcolm X or He Got Game or Pelican Brief or I mean I wouldn't agree with you if you picked the first Equalizer, but I'd understand it. Training Day, everything he's done. He's got so many choices that you could pick of for like your favorite movie of his, and I would be like, respect, man. It's a good choice. I agree with that. Oh man, our #5 is another guy. Just a cool. This guy is just effortlessly good in his movies. He's the perfect everyman actor. He just was everywhere in the 90s. He's fucking great. He's one of those actors that I could literally watch do anything and I don't care. And that's Kevin Costner. I fucking love Kevin Costner. He is a legend. I used to watch his movies all the time with my dad growing up. My dad loved Kevin Costner, so I always saw a bunch of his movies. He is just fucking so great. Great writer, great director, great actor. Everything he does, that man is just so fucking talented. So it's tough to pick my least favorite movie of his because, you know, he's the fucking man. But I think I found one, and it's Dragonfly. It's just like, it's a very 2000s thriller. It's not so much, it's not terrible. It's not great. It is a little derivative at times. He's still good in it because, you know, he's Kevin Costner, but like, it is one of those movies, again, where you're just like, I've seen this movie done before. I've seen it done better. This one just doesn't hit the mark. So definitely my least favorite of Kevin Costner movies. And then he's another one. He's got a bunch of good movies that I would agree with you were your #1. If somebody said Waterworld, I'd be like, my man, I'm with you. Waterworld is the shit. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Even though it's really fucking silly, I still love Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. The Postman. All those movies got butchered when they first came out, but are like really like actually good. The Postman being one of them. I know it's long, but when I watched it not too long ago, like way far removed from all the hype and everything, I actually freaking loved The Postman. I thought it was a really great fucking movie. All of his sports movies, this man was the king of sports movies. Tin Cup, it's a fucking classic. For Love of the Game, Bull Durham, all of them. But, I mean, I am picking a sports movie, but it's not the sports movie. It's not a normal sports movie. It's a very supernatural sports movie. And that, obviously, is Field of Dreams. My dad showed me this movie when I was a kid, and I fucking loved it. It was just so good, effortlessly enjoyable. Kevin Costner is just so great in it. James Earl Jones is great in it. Ray Liotta. Everybody who shows up in this movie is just so good. And the ending every time. This is a classic make dudes cry movie right there. I think my dad showed I was like 16 when he showed it to me, and when it ended, both of us were like looking in opposite directions, like trying to wipe tears away so that neither would see that we were crying. This movie is just so great. I fucking love this movie, and it's a classic, and it'll always be a classic. Number 4 is one of the most interesting actors working today. Everything he does is always gold. The people fucking love him. They were clamoring for him to get an Oscar for the longest time. He finally did one a few years ago. Everything he does is different and interesting. He never makes the same movie twice. And that's our man, Leonardo Dicaprio. Dude is a fucking legend. It's amazing when you get to see child actors that have grown into such good actors as they've gotten older, because you know it's so crazy how easy it can go. Either like you can be like a really good child actor that like manages to get through fame and continue to develop his persona and acting ability and get like really good, and then you have the opposite end where they just crash and burn. And I feel like so many of them crash and burn that it's incredible that we have even the ones that we do that are so incredibly versatile, like, you know, Josh Brolin, Drew Barrymore, Leo. Like, there's very few of them that actually have started as kids and just kept going and gotten better and better. And Leo's probably the best of that bunch. But even he is no stranger to a stinker. And for me, my least favorite Leo movie, which isn't even the worst movie, it's just that he's done so many good movies. It's J. Edgar. This is a movie that, like, while he's a good actor in it, it bores me. It's a very boring movie. I didn't really need to even see it. This was one of those ones that was just like, you can tell they were just like reaching for Oscar bait. So it was just like, to me. So it was just not terrible. It was boring. It was one of those movies I'll just never watch again. And I know like other people will probably say like there's worse Leo movies out there, like maybe like The Beach or something like that. But like, I could rewatch The Beach. I don't want to rewatch J. Edgar. And then my favorite Leo movie, it's a running theme with all these people that there's so many of your favorite movies that you could pick out of this actor. And Leo's another one. He's got so many you can choose from. Titanic, Catch Me If You Can, The Revenant, Django, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, this man just pumps out freaking hits. Inception, like, he's got so many good ones. But to me, my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie, and one of the ones where like he is just really ripping the heat, and he's just so freaking good in it, is The Departed. The fucking glare everywhere you look on that one. He's just so freaking good in this movie. He plays that like tension and paranoia and just like slowly losing it throughout the movie so well. He's a fucking superstar, man. He's so great in this movie. This movie in general is so great. It is just fucking powerhouse. Is absolutely incredible, and it is easily my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Whew. Number 3 is probably the craziest of the method character actors, a dude who will gain and lose weight with wicked abandon as if his body is just a temple. It can do whatever he wants at any point. And that's my man Christian Bale. I really want him to stop doing all this weight stuff so that he could stay healthy, because it's fucking insane the amount that he continues to gain and lose for roles, and it freaks me out sometimes. But he's an incredible actor. Everything he does, he just brings the heat in. Even like, he's got so many like bad movies, because when he was just struggling in the 2000s, he's another one. He was a child actor too. Empire of the Sun, fucking great movie right there. It's insane, these like child actors that go on to do such great things. I know he's got so many like bad movies you could pick from. I haven't seen X vs. Seaver, so I can't really pick that one. But I mean, like, there's so many other ones that people could probably choose. My least favorite one, again, is just a movie that's not technically like bad. It's just super boring to me. I know other people like love it. I'm not one of those people, and that's The New World. I am very hit or miss with Terrence Malick movies. The dude is just, he's an incredible director, writer-director. It's just, I feel like his movies are not for me because they are very slow-paced. And while I can enjoy a slow-paced movie, I'm more often than not like a slow-paced movie guy. I much prefer a faster, edge-of-your-seat thriller pace. But that's just me. So this movie's not terrible, but it's definitely like my least favorite of Christian Bale's movies. My favorite of his movies is another one. He's got so many to choose from. Vice, all the Batman movies, The Machinist, The Fighter, everything he touches, like, he's just really fucking good in. Like, once they finally gave him the goods in The Machinist and let him go, he's just pumping out hits. But my favorite Christian Bale performance, my favorite Christian Bale movie is a new movie. And it is a movie that is so effortlessly entertaining. I've already watched it like 13 times. It's probably my favorite movie that's come out in the last 5 years, and that's Ford v Ferrari. This movie is just so incredibly fun to me. It's just effortlessly watchable. The rewatchability on it's great. Matt Damon's great in it. Christian Bale is fucking great in it. He has so many great lines in the movie, so much quotable dialogue. This movie is just absolutely phenomenal. I love it. It's fucking incredible. My top two is A Tale of Two Toms. And we're going to start it off with number 2, and that is Tom Cruise. And I know what you're saying. Like, you're putting Tom Cruise above Bale, Daniel Day-Lewis, Washington, Gary Oldman, all these people. And my answer to you is, fuck yes, I am. Because that man is an action superstar. He knows exactly what the people want whenever he puts out a movie, and he gives it to you every fucking time. He is probably the most consistent movie actor out there. Everything he's putting in is just bringing the heat. That man goes above and beyond, putting his life on the line to bring you these epically fucking entertaining movies. And he's just, we're all the more better for it because that's how fucking good he is. I don't give a shit what you think about him personally. I don't care. You don't know him. You're never going to meet him. So stop being a bitch about it. He's the fucking man acting-wise. His worst movie, easily, is The Mummy. This movie is just such a hit or miss. It's all over the place. It's just, it's not great. And had hope. I was very excited for it. Once I saw Tom Cruise was going to be in a Mummy movie, I was like, dude, that's fucking awesome. Like, that's definitely out there. I think and he's good in it. He's still good in it. He still goes crazy for stunts in it. I think where this movie falters was the idea that they were trying to do too much too soon. Instead of just focusing on making a good Mummy movie with Tom Cruise, they were like, we need to make the dark universe. And it was like, what? Nobody wants the fucking dark universe. Like, just stop that. So this movie went way too big, way too quick, and it crash landed. But Tom normally doesn't do that to you because Tom normally knows what you love and he always gives you the heat. My favorite Tom Cruise movie, there's so many you can pick from this man's like 30+ year career, you know, from The Outsiders, Top Gun, to Days of Thunder, to any of the Mission Impossibles, to fucking, he's just in so much stuff. Valkyrie, Magnolia, Interview with the Vampire, Eyes Wide Shut. Like, these are all fucking incredible movies. Any of these movies you could have picked as his favorite, and I would say, absolutely right. You're right. That is a great fucking movie. I understand that's your number 1. For me, my number 1 is probably the greatest action movie of the last 20 years, and that's Mission Impossible Fallout. This movie is perfect. There's not a frame out of place in this movie. Everything about it is fucking incredible. Rogue Nation was my favorite of his movies until this one came out, and I was like, there's no way they can do it. Like, Rogue Nation was just too perfect. It was lightning in a bottle. Like, there's no way they're going to capture it again. And then Fallout came out, and it was everything from Rogue Nation that you loved dialed up, and it was fucking incredible. And I can't wait to see what they do next with 7 and 8, and I'm so sad that they just delayed 7 to next year again. I'm like, fuck, I just need Mission Impossible in my life again. Like, come on. This is my favorite film series. It's just fucking incredible, and he is so great for it. It's fucking so good. And that leaves our number one, the other Tom, the king, Tom Holland. Ha! Just kidding. Tom Holland's a great actor. He's not quite there yet. We're talking Tom Hanks, the fucking king. This man is the fucking contemporary Jimmy Stewart, the contemporary Carrie Grant, whatever have you. This man is just effortlessly watchable. Everything he touches is fucking gold. I fucking love him. He is the fucking man. He is just so effortlessly likable. Everything he's in is amazing. I love all of his movies. It's tough to pick one that I don't like. I did pick one because there was one where the movie was garbage, but he was great in it. And I actually don't own it. I do have to buy it eventually because I saw it in theaters, so I must own it. But I'm waiting until I can come across it for very cheap. And that is the movie The Circle. It was just a really by-the-numbers, boring, derivative sci-fi thriller about technology. It just didn't hit the mark for me. I thought getting Tom Hanks as a villain for it, as the leader of this tech thing, was inspired because like he's a guy that like you want to instantly like. So the fact that he's doing all this shady shit behind the scenes was like a really good way to play off of picking your actor. It's just that the movie was fucking terrible. So that was tough. Favorite Tom Hanks, that's fucking so hard to pick. He's got so many of them. Catch Me If You Can, Forrest Gump, Philadelphia, Big, The Money Pit, literally anything that he's done, any of the Toy Stories, every movie he touches is fucking gold, and it's so hard to pick my favorite Tom Hanks movie, but I think I'm going to go with today, my favorite Tom Hanks movie. This can change at any moment. It could change the second I finish filming this video, being like, fuck, it wasn't this one. But for now, I'm sticking with it because he is, literally for one simple line that he does in this that gets me to cry every fucking time. And that's Saving Private Ryan. And the line is at the end when, spoiler alert if you haven't seen fucking Saving Private Ryan at this point, but he's been shot and Matt Damon is standing over him and he tells him, earn this. Like, we all came all this way out here for you and all of us are pretty much dying for you to get home and live. Like, earn this, earn what you're getting here, live a good life, go out, live. And then it cuts to him like later on when he's like, Matt Damon's old and he's visiting the cemetery where all these guys are laid up and he's got his whole extended family with him, kids, grandkids, all that. And he just breaks down and he's like, tell me I lived a good life. And it's just fucking, it's so good. It's so good. This movie's fucking incredible. It's one of the best movies ever made, bar none. And fucking Tom Hanks, just an absolute legend for it. Just absolute fucking king. And that's our show. That's the list. 10 fucking great actors. Just kings of fucking film and TV. They're absolutely incredible. I can watch anything with these guys in it. Any single one of them. They're fucking amazing. They're so good. But I want to hear from you guys. I mean, I probably won't because nobody's written a comment on my thing in forever, but I don't really give a fuck. I just do this for the fun of it. But if you are so inclined, let me hear what your favorite actors and actresses are. Let me know if out of these guys, what your favorite and least favorite movie of theirs is. I'm sure there's plenty that we can choose from. Look out for the next one where I do my top 10 favorite actresses. And until that time, you have been you, I have been me. These have been movies. And that's our show. Get the fuck out of here. Go on. Go watch a movie or something. Go watch any of these movies you haven't seen right now. I'm telling you right now. If you haven't seen Ford v Ferrari, go fucking watch that right now. Get out of here. I don't want to hear from you until you watch it.